Welcome back, Road Glide Garage. Hey, if you haven't subscribed and you're just finding out about me, hey, please consider subscribing. Check out my other videos. There's probably about 30 of them to choose from. See if you like any, and if you don't, that's cool too. There's something for everybody out there. So today I wanted to go over my shocks and what I did, and I think every Harley owner should at least know about this. It may not be for you, and that's fine, but at least everybody should know about it. So if you guys saw my video where I reviewed the lowering kit for the touring bikes, you know what my feeling was about those. So when I was removing the lowering kit and putting my stock shocks back where they were, I realized my shocks weren't holding air. I don't know how long that had been going on. I'm horrible about checking my shocks. I think it just gradually got worse, and then I didn't even consider them not holding air. So yeah, boo-hoo on my part. But at the same time, I didn't want to spend $1,000 on fixing the, you know, with the Legends, and I know it's not 1,000, it's like 7 and change or 8 and change or whatever. But in the grand scheme, I didn't want to spend a ton of money on some shocks right now. So, hey, look at that, more bikes out for a Friday stroll. That guy waves. He doesn't give the 2 fingers down. So the shocks were not holding air, didn't know what to do. I ride with my wife a lot. So last Saturday at the bike blessing, my wife rode, and she rides with me frequently. She loves to ride. It was just rough. I mean, it was okay, but it was just not as comfortable as it could have been, being that the shocks weren't holding air. So what I did, on Sunday, we rode again, and one of my buddies, A-Rod, showed up, and I hadn't seen his bike since he put his air system on it. Well, I was like, that's kind of cool. And he was telling me, you know, roughly what it would cost, and I was like, okay. I'm like, what kind of shocks are they? And he's like, Monroe. I'm thinking like car shocks, Monroe car shocks. I never knew them to make anything else. Well, they don't make them for the Harley. So I went and did some research, and I'm like, all these different air system companies don't have their own shocks. That's just not. They've got to be using something else. And I really don't know what else they're using, but I did find out through, he sent me the link, and I got to looking at them. I found that Monroe shocks, part number MA785. Here's a picture of them and the part number. What that is, they fit like a 1968 to a 1984 Chevy Corvette in the rear. Okay, and at this point I'm still reading, I'm going, what in the hell? So I was like, you know what? So I started looking them up. I looked up the part number. I looked at the travel. The travel looked right. You know, the max travel was like 14.5 inches. The minimum travel, I think, is like 9.5. So I'm like, okay, well, I could lay the back end out. And I knew that the stock Harley ones were 13 inches. So I'd get over travel. And I was like, okay, well, I got on Google, looked for them. Well, hell, they were 2 miles down the road at CarQuest, and they were $106. So I called them, made sure they had them. So I ran down there, opened them up, looked at them just to see if we were even in the ballpark of something that may work. And I held it, and it looked like I was holding a Harley shock. I was like, oh crap, okay. I guess at some point I'm waiting for something to tell me, okay, this is not going to work. And I'm, looking at it, and I'm like, well, I've done dumber shit with $100, so here we go. Take my money, and here I go back home. and started looking. I got them on, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is the best ride I've ever felt on my Harley. I haven't had Legends, I haven't had Olin's, I haven't had many or any other than stock. But this is an amazing feeling shock. I was trying to think of ways to describe it. It doesn't change how the rear end is in a corner, or, you know, as it compresses in a corner. There's no wiggle it gives, there's no porpoising. It is literally just like the other ones, with a freaking car ride in the back, which just blows me away. Let's get past them. Moving a workover rig. So they are air shocks. The minimum that you can run in it is 20 pounds, and the maximum you can run is 150 pounds. I agree, 150 pounds, I mean, you know, that's going to extend it all the way. It's going to be super rock hard. But let me tell you, I did 2 test rides. I did one at like 55 pounds, somewhere around where my Harley shocks were, and I was way low. So I'm at about 80 pounds right now. The bike sits level. I mean, yeah, I feel nothing different at all. Now, one thing, so it comes with all the airline, all the air tubing, the T-fitting, the tire fitting, or the fill-up fitting. I mean, it would be really easy to put a compressor on it and you can air it up, air it down. I don't need that. I just want something that's going to work. So I wired them. I plumbed them in with the tubing and the T, and got me to my air fill, which I mounted right near the stock one. And I'll tell you what, you go over bumps, and suddenly you instantly hate your front end. So I'll tell you what, you go hit some bumps. You know, I went through some driveways, and, you know, there's a speed bump kind of near my house. I hit that without slowing down as much as I normally would have. And I mean, you feel the bike rising and stuff, but it's amazing. So far, I mean, this is day 3. I freaking love these things. Again, that was Monroe Air Shock, Monroe Air Shocks. Part number is M as in Mary, A as in Apple, 785, and I'll put it right here. I mean, who'd have ever thought a 68 to 84 Chevy Corvette shocks would work on this bike? And what I did, you know, I know that if I did lose air, I'd be running, you know, I'd be bottomed out. So what I did, I went to Home Depot and bought a $30 Ryobi compressor that I have in my saddlebag. So, you know, it's super tiny, and it's good for checking tires too, which I don't do often enough. But so that sits in my saddlebag. If I was to ever lose air, I mean, I've had it. I checked the air before I left this morning. I've held the same pressure for 3 days. With my wife, you know, add 15-20 pounds to it, and you get an extremely comfortable ride. I would love to ride something with a Legends or Olin's just to see, in comparison to these, if it's that much better. I can't imagine it being much better. I mean, besides the shitload of money you spend on them. I mean, I'm not knocking them. I'm a Harley guy on a budget. I got 3 kids at home. Just a normal guy. You know, $1,000 for shocks, that's not a priority. So I like to look for kind of DIYs, you know, that help things. And oh my God, this might be, well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the single best thing I've done to my bike since I've owned it. It is amazing, the ride. And let me tell you, I've really tested it because the roads in California suck. I mean, we happen to be on the last 2 roads we're on, we're pretty damn good. But if you keep watching as we, it'll transition up here after the stop sign, and we'll go back to a very crappy road. But it's unbelievable. I mean, you feel it now in your front end because, you know, you don't have the cushion. You don't have the cush that you do in the back. But I'm not saying you got to go get some. All I'm saying is these things were damn good for me. And now there is a little bit of modification you have to do on the bottom. And if you look in the pictures online, you can see the collar that runs through the shock bushing on the bottom. What you have to do, the mount on the Corvette must be different because it's super wide. Well, what I did is I just took a Sawzall and I cut it so it's the width of the shock. So I took probably, I don't know, probably a ½ inch off one side and just made it the width of the shock like a normal shock. Took me 5 minutes, no big deal. And then the top shock mount, what you'll find is the bolt is like exactly the same size as the hole. Well, you can't change bolt sizes because that bolts into your bike. But what I did is I took an old bolt the same size, and I have like a mandrel about that long that's round, and it tapers larger going to the bottom. Well, I just put it in the shock hoop and I just beat the shit out of it on the ground, and it expanded enough. I put the shock bolt in, it bolted right up, everything's perfect. So I think at least look at it. I mean, if you've ever said, God, these shocks suck, which I have a million times, I was willing to throw away $100 because the thing is, once it looks like you tried installing the shocks, you can't send them back, which is fine. I mean, like I said, I've done dumber stuff with $100. I mean, not that I would throw $100 away, but I mean, it's better than. So there's my shock tidbit. God damn, this truck is in my way. All right, we're gonna go this way, get away from this truck, so we don't have to do the 55-mile-an-hour hokey pokey behind him. Oh, that's my tidbit about shocks. I'll put a link in the description. Check them out. Let me know if you've heard of people doing it, what they thought. But I've got them on the bike right now, and I would do it. I would pay $200 tomorrow to do it. So just saying, I feel a really, really big improvement on them, and just wanted to share it, pass it along to everybody. So if you like this, click the like button and click the subscribe button if you haven't.